Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. So in this video we are going to be taking a look at the brand spanking new Harbor Freight anvil that they have on offer, and it is the Doyle brand anvil, and they say it's got genuine Doyle quality, whatever that means. So this is a recent release at Harbor Freight. They've decided to try to up their anvil quality game, and we're going to see if that is in fact true, and that's what they've got going on. So I'll read some real quick specs about the anvil itself. It is a 65-pound cast steel anvil. They say it's a cast steel construction with a 3/4 inch Hardy hole, a 3/4 inch Pritchell hole, and if you'll notice, it's supposedly not in the actual horn itself, but it's actually up on the main surface, which will be a good thing. It has 50 square inches of face surface area, which is like it's nonsense. They could have just gave you the length of that. And then the total overall dimensions is 21 1/8 inches by 4.9/16 of an inch. So 4 9/16 of an inch and 6 7/8 inch. It says it has a 7-inch horn, and most importantly, they say it has an 80% rebound. So how are we going to check that rebound? Well, I've got this nice little test tube over here that we have used in the past as my rebound checker to see about how much rebound we get out of things. And it'll be interesting to see if they have 80% rebound. Now this tube is actually 2 feet tall, and so the center portion is about 1 foot tall. So if you drop this ball bearing, that should be about 50%. If it gets about 12 there, 80%, which I haven't even seen in the Achayos or even in Olga, it would have to be clear up into here to get a nice 80% rebound, up right around the 18, around 16 to 18 inch mark in that tube. So we will see if it checks out on the 80% rebound thing. So without further ado, let's crack into this this box real quick. This is going to be initial unboxing. I plan on doing additional testing as well. I plan on actually testing this wonderful thing out and even doing a destruction test. So be sure to be checking out that video where I will have a go at it, like I've done the Achayo anvils, like I did the original Harbor Freight anvil. You can check that video out over here somewhere on the screen, or it'll be linked up in the description down below, so be sure to check that out. We are going to take and do a little destruction testing and see how she holds up in comparison to the Achayo anvils that you see out there. So first things first, in the box, this thing is actually surprising for Harbor Freight. They must really care about this. It's actually pretty well packaged, in my opinion. It's actually pretty well packaged. They even took a cardboard tube and put it on the round horn to prevent it from coming outside the box. Someone out there in the Harbor Freight department must be listening to all of the complaints and qualms and all the garbage I gave them on their previous review video I did. By the way, I should state at this point in time that I am not sponsored, big loud pop, I am not sponsored by Harbor Freight in any way, but they owe me. They should go ahead and reach out, because I'm sure after this video goes live, they will be sold out nationwide. So hurry up and get over there while you can. And someone from Harbor Freight Sales, I'll take my commish. You can go ahead and send out that commission any day now. All right, so as you can see, they really put a lot of packaging in here. That is a huge win. I'm glad to see that. Big plus side on the fact that it is a red anvil and not a god-awful ghastly blue color. So there's what that big round tube there. It's protected in a little black baggie here. Now we'll see how close it comes to the actual pictures. And boy, howdy, I tell you what, this thing looks to be a fairly quality anvil. They put some effort into this one, boys and girls. It has that stinky grease stuff on there. Boom, that's what you're looking at right there. I would have to say that is pretty darn slick. The actual name badge I was wondering about this. I've seen this on other anvils, cheap anvils. They put that little data plate sticker there, their little name badge. It's usually just plastic and it falls off. It's not secured very well. This looks to be aluminum, like in a nice aluminum tag, and it's been, you know, put on. Seems to be decent. At least they've made a opening. They even recessed it so it's flush with the surface there. Again, this is all red, which is a lot better than the ghastly blue color. That is my own preference. The horn looks to be that it comes, well, it comes dressed already. The horn is ready to go. That is an insane, like, I mean, it's shiny, and they put the effort into, you know, at least grinding that top surface. Now the underside of the horn's still a little bit rough, still has a little bit of rough, you know, casting grain on it. But at least the top horn is milled. And then, of course, the surface finish is milled as well. All right, that's a lot to take in one little get-go there. So we should get into the other testing as we go here. Let's go ahead and do the ball bearing drop test to see about the claim of 80% rebound. The first initial impressions of unboxing this is exactly what they're promising on the website. So that is a promising thing. We'll have to see how that goes in the future here. So I'll go ahead and pull this up. We'll put our little ball bearing drop test, just like what we do in the Achaio anvils. I'll line it up right where it ought to be. And it's going to look crookeder than a dog's leg because it is. This tube is a little bit bent, but it should still, it's been basically the same tube that I've tested all the other ones with. So get that set up. Okay. And 3, 2, 1. That's not too shabby. Wouldn't say it's 80% rebound, but not too shabby. There's our first pull. We'll take this up where she's nice and try to get a nice even pull on it. That's the big trick. 3, 2, 1. Oh, that jumped quite a bit up there. So this might be interesting. So we'll do it again. Test it, third pull, and we'll average them. Now, one thing I can say about this, if I'll get this out of the way for a second of this drop test, the amount that it bounces back is just one factor. The other factor is to check the hardness or the surface hardness. Now, on the box, I did not see any claims. Now, this ball bearing is 52-100, so it's a fairly hard ball bearing. And if you notice, when you work with a ball bearing like this, if you drop it on your anvil, I don't care what anvil it is, this is a very hard ball bearing. So this ball bearing here will dent the surface of your anvil because it being 52-100. It's very hard, and most anvils are not that hard. Obviously, where there's no mass or support underneath there, you're going to have problems. So anyways, we'll chase that later. So, but you will end up having dents in your anvil if you use a 52-100 ball bearing. They do make some ball bearings out of 1095 that aren't as hardened, and those might be a better option to test your anvils. But in order to check the surface hardness, we're going to go ahead and use some of these Subasan made in Japan Rockwell hardness tester kit. Now, this is something I bought a while ago. Again, I will leave the Amazon affiliate link for this down in the description down below if you're interested in getting your own and supporting the channel. They're not a sponsor of the channel, but if you do use that affiliate link, I do get a small kickback for sending traffic to Amazon. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start at the highest end, which is about a 65 Rockwell, Subasan Rockwell file. So that's the black file that's in the kit, and we're going to see if we can't make a scratch. And I'll do other comparison testing videos in the future where I'll bring everything in a lot closer. This is just an initial review video to get on it. It makes a pretty easy scratch, as I thought it would, at 65 Rockwell. We're going to go down to 60 Rockwell. Definitely still bites the surface. What we're looking for with these file testers is we are looking for it to bite. kind of like as if you were to harden something, a piece of tooling, and you can skate a file. When it skates a file, it tells you that it's fully hard. The difference is these will skate at the correct Rockwell hardness, as whereas if it's softer than that, it'll bite still. So it's a little more accurate than using a file. You can at least get some idea of the Rockwell hardness that is in the piece. So I'm going to go ahead and try now a 55 Rockwell. And it skates in the middle. The middle, it skates completely at 55 Rockwell. But out towards the edge, it grabs a little at the edge. So it does bite at the edge. So the edges are softened. The edges are softer. That is both a good or a bad thing, depending on what you're going to look at. I see it as a good thing. Softer edges mean they'll be less prone to chipping out. They might mushroom over or, get dented up over time, but they're less prone to chipping out with something. So let's check the edges. We know the center is 55 Rockwell. We'll check the edges. This is down to 50 Rockwell. They still grab. These might be completely soft. The edges are 45 Rockwell. Oh yeah, it still grabs. And 40 Rockwell. So these have really been tempered back. So, okay, at 40 Rockwell. So it's between 40 and 45 Rockwell. Probably about 42. So it definitely skates at 40 Rockwell on the C scale. So they have been tempered back quite a bit, and they seem to be consistent on that. Some other things to discuss about this. This might be a superior option opposed to the Achio anvil. And the only reason why I say this may be a superior option for you if you do have a Harbor Freight in your local area, the ability to be able to go put your hands on the anvil and carry it home with you, and even potentially sight inspect this anvil before you carry it home. They might have it on the shelf as a display unit, maybe even open up the box and say, okay, how bad is this thing? And you might be able to see it without buying it sight unseen. So that might be one plus mark where it might be a little bit better than the Achio anvils for you. The second plus mark is that the pritchel hole has been moved. That's been one of the biggest gripes about the Achio anvils, is the fact that they put their pritchel hole in the horn of the anvil. Now, it's not complete and utter nonsense. People talk about, oh, that's there for mounting. No, just because it's there doesn't mean it's meant for mounting. Otherwise, they would scale that up, or it wouldn't scale at the size of the anvil. It would just be a mounting hole for you to put a simple mounting thing when you go up to a 132-pound Achio or something like that anvil. So that's not what that's for. They intended it to be a pritchel hole. Well, they actually moved that up to the square horn or the tail section of this anvil. So they actually moved that up to this portion of the anvil, which is a great thing that they put this put this pritchel here, and it's a large enough pritchel that you can put hold down tools, and it's still small enough that you're able to take and punch things through, or back punch through things like bottle openers and whatnots. And then they put the hardy hole over towards the front end of this. But the big important thing is that it's not on a step anymore like the Achio anvils. It's actually up on the main surface where it is handy to actually use. So unlike the Achio anvils, where if you want it in the same surface plane, you're going to have to build up with some arc weld and grind and redress it so you can bring this shelf out to that. Now, instead of doing that, it is all in one surface plane. So that's a big plus. So that's the second plus that goes in its favor. I will say this, for a lot of these companies, these cheap companies that produce anvils nowadays, I don't know why they don't listen to the smithing community and all the complaints completely. It is just as easy to make a 1-inch hardy hole cast in this as it is to make a 3/4 inch square hardy hole. I don't know why these companies don't listen to that. Make it a standard size that everybody has tooling for. That is the standard. It's 1 inch, if you're not familiar, or 25 mil square is the box standard for all anvils out there. It generally is. Everyone aims for right around an inch. The older anvils didn't have that. They were handmade and handcrafted with hand-drifted holes, but all new machined anvils generally have a 1-inch hardy hole, and they do that for a reason. All commercially made and bought tools have a 1-inch hardy stem to go in this anvil. So I'm going to go ahead and check their measurement here. It looks like they are a skosh over 3/4 of an inch in that direction, and a skosh over 3/4 of an inch in that direction. So enough, definitely enough for a clearance fit for a 3/4 inch hardy shank to sit down in there and maybe have just a tiny bits of jiggle into it, and you'd be just fine. It will hold up pretty well. As I can look down in the hardy hole, it looks to be fairly straight without any taper or draft to it. A lot of castings will have draft to them where they have a bit of pitch or angle to them. So this way they can remove things like the plug that they had to cast around this so they can knock that out. It looks to be fairly solid, and it goes all the way through to the bottom. So speaking of the bottom, we'll flip her upside down here and we'll show that off. That's what the bottom looks like. Time will tell after my other testing that I do how much Bondo or body filler may be in this. I'm assuming there's not a lot considering how well this thing looks. And again, I bought this at my local Harbor Freight. Shout out Harbor Freight Alpena. I did have to take a couple tries to go get one up there, but I did buy this completely with my own money. They did not send this to me for free. I am not sponsored by them. So, and I bought it in the box off the shelf. So I'm assuming that this will be hopefully your experience when you get it. But as with all Harbor Freight tools, your mileage may vary, as you know. So there it is. That is the quick unboxing video. I will have a series of videos coming out on this, including a destruction test, where I will swing for the fences with a sledgehammer and put it under an undue amount of horror and stress. I know it'll be cringeworthy for some of you noobs out there to watch. Bear with me. I do these type of things so you don't end up buying a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. And I do plan on doing that to a lot more professionally made anvils out there as well, doing the destruction tests to take and, you know, give you a good view of what the range of options you have out there as a beginner. And, you know, some of them that are claimed to be the best, are they the best? Well, we'll find out. It's better for me to spend my money and waste it than you out there, the beginner, to spend your money and end up blowing that on potentially your one and only anvil that you could end up buying. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. And like I said, we will be doing a whole host of other comparison testing videos on this anvil in the future. So be sure to check out those. Thanks a lot. We'll catch you on the next one.